Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. Happy Tuesday evening. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Everybody got their beverage, all right? Got your tea or whatever it is you like to drink, because we're going to deep dive into this. Dave Ramsey, looks like this is from May 2023, so about 5 months ago. I am 59 and still owe $258,000 in student loans. Holy cow. To give you some perspective, I am 56 and just recently became debt free. And I'm now putting 35% of my teacher pay into retirement. So I just had my $110,000 loan cleared in 2022 through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. That was the waiver extension they had. So we're going to find out what's up with this person. All right, here we go. Let's do it.
LaRonda is with us in Roanoke, Virginia. Hi, LaRonda. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Thank you very much.
How can we help?
Yes, I'm currently working two jobs to try to make ends meet. However, I'm 59 years old, and my credit report shows that I owe $258,000 in student loans. Is there any way I can make that go away?
Good Lord.
The kids aren't going to help. If this is any reflection of how she is, that guess what her kids are going to probably be like. You know, sometimes the apples don't fall far from the tree. By the way, if you haven't ever seen Borrowed Future, you should. And I mean, it's excellent. I may do a reaction to just a part of the film, not the whole thing. But I may do reaction to a part of it down the road.
Make good money in their careers, can they pay some of this down?
They're not going to, and I don't think any parent should take a Parent Plus loan on the hope and a promise that kids will pay it down. Okay, first off, kids, I don't know. I just think that parents should not overmix their financial information with their kids. There needs to be a parent-child relationship that is maintained, and that's how my mother would feel. I know that my late mom would say, kids shouldn't be helping parents pay the bills. Now, of course, anything my parents needed, if I can help them, of course I'm going to. But we're not talking on the surface, and we're talking, mixing student loans and all of that stuff. My mother would say no. So that's where I get that opinion from. So blame my mother if I'm wrong, okay? But I don't think she really is. I think if a parent takes out a loan, it's on the parent to pay it, as far as that's what the parent should plan on. If the kids can step up to the plate and do it, I think that's great. You got a great kid that says, hey, mom, dad, I know you're suffering. I'm going to send you $100 a month towards the loan, whatever. Okay. But parents who take out debt with the assumption that the kids are going to pay it off, with the assumption that kids are going to make enough money to pay it off, I think that's a recipe for disaster. But if the kids can help and they want to, I think it's fantastic. But I think that needs to be looked at as cherry or icing on the cake and not part of the cake ingredient itself.
Yeah. You're going to, if you do not get above this instead of laying under it, in terms of this being your career, where the career problems are all happening to you, and instead you start happening to the career issues and get on top of this and get up, leave the cave, kill something, and drag it home, the math on this is really, really not going to go well.
No, it's not. It's not. I did a Caleb Hammer reaction the other day, yesterday, and there's a young gal there. She's 27, 28. She owes an equal amount almost in student loans. She owes around $250,000 in student loans. She's 27, 28. Now then, she's aspiring to be a model, and she's broke. All right. Imagine what that bill's going to be like. See, this is the problem. We don't think about how much we're going to have to pay to make this bill. So that means everything that she earns, this woman's going to have to come up with $2,500 a month minimum. I guarantee it to you, just mathematically. It's $250,000. She's going to have to come up with a minimum of $2,500 a month just to meet the interest. Do you want to do that? Do you want to go back to school so badly that you're willing to do that? I think that once you hit your 40s, I think you need to seriously stop going to school. I think that way, if I had to do it over again, okay, Well, actually, I was done with school at 38 because I became a teacher. But I think taking on serious debt without the assets, and this is the big thing, without the assets to pay it off, without the assets to get out of it, she's just not motivated. This is going to skyrocket. And I'm sorry, I don't see, I'm going to be real honest here, I don't see a company hiring her with her lack of motivation for a six-figure job at 59, 60 years old. I don't see it.
60 to pay off 258 at 59. That's called a small shovel and a very large hole. We have to change your shovel to hole ratio mathematically to get you out.
And you're not going to be able to change it. She's not motivated enough to change it, and the math doesn't add up. This is going to grow into a $300,000 student loan. Mark my words, it's going to grow.
These are not going away. They're not going away. So the way you get rid of them is you increase your income dramatically and you keep your lifestyle down at nothing, which it probably already is. And then you just start throwing the difference at this very, very, very aggressively.
What difference is there to throw? What difference is there? Maybe she'll, even if her kids gave her some money per month, how much are they really going to be able to give her? What has she modeled for them? What has she modeled for them to see that would make anyone give a thought that the kids would pay the bill? This bill is going to grow.
So let's just pretend that over a year or two of working on this that you got to, let's just be real generous, 160. Well, that's 100 above what you're making now.
Okay, here's the problem I have with this, okay? And I've said this in other videos. You cannot build a budget based on what you think you're going to make. You can only build a budget on what you actually make now. I can't say, well, I'm 56 and maybe by the time I'm 60 I'll be making 62,000 a year. I can't do that. What I can do is this. Well, right now I'm 56. I'm just about 60,000 a year. So at 62, assuming my income does not drop, that's the key, okay? Assuming I don't drop and I'm still at 60,000, what can I afford? What can my lifestyle be like? Now, if I hit 62 and I make more money, that's just great. And I'm speaking from personal experience, okay? I mean that's how I live my budget. And the problem is when Ramsey and crew start going, well, now, you're at 60,000 right now, but let's just assume that in the next 2 years, you can raise your income up by, another $100,000 a year to do that for 2 years. We're going to dismiss taxes and all of that stuff and life happening. Well, you should have this sucker paid off in 2-3 years. He would be richer than Bill Gates if all those theories actually came true. If all those assumptions actually came true. But in the real world, that's not what we have. In the real world, what we have is a 59-year-old woman who lacks motivation, who lacks knowledge, okay, either by choice or by denial. When I say choice, I mean by denial or by ignorance, okay, who I think is very quick to deflect other people, to very quickly to deflect blame on other people as to why she had to take out the loan. She had no choice. They told her she had to do it, yada, yada. Okay, that's what we're really dealing with. And you expect someone like that, we can assume that they're going to be making 100 grand extra in the next 2 years. No, we can't. Never, ever put your budget based on what you think you're going to make. I always base it on what I have or if I have less. That's how I bought my condo. I actually said, okay, this is what I make right now. What happens if I lost half my income? What would I have to do? And that's why I wound up buying a condo for $100,000 instead of 200 or 2.25. And that was 3 years ago, when houses were a little bit more reasonable.
And then you start throwing 100 at 258, you're done in 3 or 4 years.
There, once again, is there anybody that Mr. Ramsey does not say you can't solve the problem in 3, 4, 5 years? God love him. I mean, really, okay, I've been listening to his show for years, and I'm a fan of it. Obviously, okay, I like to do reactions to it, all right, because I'm a fan of it. But sometimes I just have to laugh and go, it doesn't seem to matter, what hardship the person's in. They can solve the problem in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Or usually 3, 4, 5 years. No, you can't. It cannot be solved. Not without a really big win, a really big inheritance, and yada yada. Okay, no, she's not going to solve this. She isn't motivated to solve it. So even if she could solve it, she's not going to, because that requires her having to follow up, take responsibility, detail stuff, and not be shocked when she sees her credit report.
Because by then it will have grown some. So it's not going to.
Oh no, it won't have grown some. It could grow to 500,000 by the time she retires. Oh yeah, this can grow to 500,000. Absolutely, it can. Give it another decade. Give it another decade. Keep piling that interest on. Couple hundred, a couple thousand a month. This is in the thousands, people. In the thousands. The gal, and I'll link the video at the end on the Caleb Hammer financial audit show that I did a reaction to. Her student loan is $1,945 a month just for interest. That chick is hauling out $24,000 a year, respectively, for student loan interest. Let that sink in. $24,000. And she owes less than that. And she's 28, and she owes less than what this woman owes at 59. But imagine being 28 and owing $24,000 a year in interest. She's going to be calling Dave Ramsey 30 years from now going, I have $1 million student loan. This woman here, the Rhonda, I forgot her name, okay. This woman here, 59 years old, 258,000 in student loans. Easy. She too is paying around 25, maybe to upwards of 28, 30,000 per year in just student loan interest. I really want young people especially, I want you to see this. There is no degree that is worth this. There is no school, no mascot that is worth this. And if I can help just one person really understand, you can tie yourself financially for the rest of your life. And it will also affect your relationships, who you date, who you marry, who wants to date and marry you with this amount of debt.
It'll be a straight line issue. So that's what you're dealing with. Supply chain is not a bad field. Accounting is not a bad field.
When you're 25 years old, you're fresh out of school, and you're highly motivated to get a job and climb the career ladder. No, it's great. When you're 59 years old and you don't even know what's on your credit report, we may have a problem.
Both are hiring now, and both are computer driven.
Yes, and they are not looking in general for 60-year-old women. Oh, and by the way, something else to think about, people. Some jobs, the higher up you get in accounting jobs, military jobs, okay, they require financial background checks. Why do they require financial background checks, credit report checks? Because they want to know that you are financially stable so that you would not be tempted to cook the books. And when I say cook the books, because not everybody may know what that means, it means you will not be tempted to lie, steal money, alter records to help pay debt. This is real business. So yeah, okay, he's saying, put her in a $160,000 a year job, accounting, logistics, whatever. I can almost guarantee you it's going to require a background check. These background checks, I worked in insurance, required a background check. I'm surprised in my history anything got passed by, but I guess, hey, I had my good moments, people. I had my good moments in my 20s, okay? Not many, but I had some, all right? But something to think about is, he's saying, go off, my child, into the wild blue yonder and miraculously make 100,000. Add on 100,000 to your career. Who's going to hire her? If they pull up a financial background on her before they hire her at any financial position, they're going to see she's a wreck. This woman owes $250,000 in student loan debt. I guarantee you she's either had late payments, defaults, and this is just the student loan portion of her life. What do you think the rest of her life is going to look like? Okay, so you got to remember, keeping a clean slate can affect, it can help improve your job opportunities. I don't know anyone that would hire her. I wouldn't hire her. I'm just being honest. I would not hire her for any large accounting financial position. She would not pass a background check with me.
And you're going to learn to operate a computer if you don't know how, if you're going to win at this. So,
no, I'm being brutally honest. No, she's not going to win at this. If she were going to win, she would have started well before now. And if she were, and even if she hadn't started before now, but she decided she was going to start it today, the first thing she would have said to Dave Ramsey is, instead of, hey, I have $250K student loan debt, how do I make it go away? She would say, hey, I have $250,000 in student loan debt. I need help figuring out what steps I can take to lessen the debt as I near retirement. What do you recommend? See the difference? Big difference.
Figure out what you've got to do to get to where you're happening to your career with this knowledge base, because you've paid a lot of money for all this knowledge and you're not getting anything for it.
But that's a choice. That's a choice not to get anything for it. That was a choice. It's not totally just by chance. It was a series of decisions that were made over the years to dismiss, opportunities, to not look at your credit report, to not, network. It was a choice. It's not all just, innocent snow landing.
And you need to monetize the knowledge base. That's what it amounts to.
All right, we're going to go ahead and end it right there. Let me blow it. All right, so here's the thing, folks. Something that I was taught, I wouldn't say taught, I observed, okay? True story here, okay? When I was in my early 20s and I worked at a radio station that will remain unnamed, all right? One of my first experiences in really understanding how the working world works was the manager that I had was immediately let go. Like they literally just walked in his station and said, "You're out of a job." And I remember just thinking, you could be out of a job that fast? Okay, that's how fast life can, can shift on you, right? So in this case, when that happened, one of the things that I noticed was my manager was older. Okay, I was young. I was like 25 years old, all, bouncy and happy. Okay, still very naive to the world. But this manager was about 50. They let the manager go. I then entered the corporate world of insurance, and I saw the same thing. About 50 or so, people let go. 59 years old is not the time to decide how to compete with the 20 and 30-year-olds. By 59, we should be somewhat cemented in our career. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I've done anything fantastic with my life. I mean, I'm a school teacher, nothing to really brag about. I mean, honorable work, honest work, okay. But it's nothing, to be highfalutin, oh, well, I'm a public middle school teacher. Who wants my job, okay? It's nothing like that. But it is stable. And I've worked years and years to make sure that I'm good at it to the best of my ability, all right? But that started in my 30s. This woman at 59 years old, and I think this is where Dave is doing her a little bit of injustice, okay? She's not going to find a company that's going to hire her. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm going to give you just what I think on in general. She's not going to find a company that's going to hire an unmotivated 59-year-old woman who's going to pass a background check for a high financial position that's going to put her in six figures. I don't see it. And sometimes I think that's where, Dave needs to point these things out to her. When you have a lot of debt, and it really doesn't matter what age you are, it can affect who hires you, how much they hire you for. How high can you climb up that ladder? Because the higher up you go in prestige and job, pay, the whole 9 yards, the higher up you go, they're going to start doing more and more background checks on you. Dave, I think, was saying something about, her being a CPA or something like that to go higher up in that, to monetize that. Okay, that's fine. You want to make a bet those people pass background checks? Okay. Had a relative who worked in the CPA industry, all right? I'm telling you, you get clean. They're probably some of the most financially clean people if you really want to get up there. You want to work for a big firm that's going to pay you six figures a year? Right now, LaRonda makes the money of a middle school teacher. Okay? You want to go into a firm? You're 25, 30 years old. Best keep your nose clean if you think you're going to be making six figures on up working for some big financial firm. They're going to dig into your background. You have too much student loan debt. That could be a problem, even if your payments are made on time. They could still see the student loan debt as potentially potentially a problem, even though you've made all your student loan payments on time. They could look at your debt to income ratio. This is an employer. Employers have access to a lot of information, okay? And you sign over, oftentimes, when you're in the part of the hiring process, you sign over those rights to allow them to dig it up and look. Okay, so you've made you've made perfect student loan payments. The problem is your debt is really, really high. That could from an employer standpoint be viewed as a liability, a potential liability. They're not saying you're going to steal anything, cook the books, they're not saying you're going to do any of that. But if they have a choice between you with a really high student loan balance, default or not, okay, behind or not, or they have a choice between somebody else that has little to no student loan debt, all right, has just a whistle clean record, who do you think they're going to hire, all things being equal? They're not going to hire this 59-year-old woman at $258K sitting on her credit report. Oh, by the way, my credit report this week, I checked it a couple days ago, was 818. I have worked my arse off to get it there, all right? I know Ramsey doesn't believe in credit reports, but unfortunately for the rest of us that are lower on the financial totem pole, we do have to deal with creditors, and that's just part of life, okay? They're not going to hire her. So people, remember, especially the younger you are and you want to climb that ladder, you got to keep a clean financial picture. And this includes not taking out so much debt that your debt to income ratio looks bad. And it's not, we're used to thinking of it for a home. Okay, when I go buy a home, so we have to pay attention to our debt to income ratio, DTI is what I think they call it, debt to income. Okay, but you got to remember, it's also important for a job. And the higher up that job goes, I can pretty much assure you, they're going to be looking at it. And they're going to go, you're 30 years old, you've got 2 master degrees, you've got a ridiculous amount of student loan debt. Okay, yeah, maybe you've made or maybe you haven't made all your payments on time, but you are a potential financial liability. You could be tempted to do wrong against the company. But we can hire this other person and they have minimal student loan debt, half of what you've got, quarter of what you've got. They've got a whistle clean record, okay? We'll take them. So think about that. But will they take a 59-year-old half motivated with $258,000 student loan and give her $160,000, $200,000 a year job? No, they won't. And I'm willing to bet $1 for it. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. I want to thank you for joining me this evening. I hope you will consider subscribing, and you have a wonderful rest of the evening. Goodbye.